Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
There he is, right on time, as soon as I start the recording. Did you go to see the 40th anniversary screen?
I saw it the day before. It was more. So, it was more crowded that day.
Oh wow!
That's why I didn't go the next day. Was literally I went with DJ. DJ ended up he was at the theater anyway. He ended up having to buy the tickets because it was near sold out.
Wow, we were gonna go Monday, but then I changed it to Tuesday because we were going out of town, and then we were going to come back Monday originally, and so I was like, well, we're not going to want to make the trip and then go, make the trip home and then go see the movie. So then I changed it to Tuesday, and we ended up not coming home till Tuesday anyway, but it worked out. So had you ever seen it on the big screen before?
I've never seen it on the big screen. I think I saw it on Netflix like 10 years before this.
Okay.
Like it was on Netflix at one point.
I've never seen it on the big screen, so I have
sorry,
words.
People that have not seen this film, which, it's been out since what,
40 years. We're going to talk spoilers if we need to.
Pretty much the plot follows this barbarian named Conan. That's why he's called Conan the Barbarian. Had a rough childhood. His family got slaughtered. His village got slaughtered, and he sort of goes on this revenge quest, pretty much. But
it's a revenge story. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yes.
He's going after Darth Vader.
Yes.
That's all I got to say about that.
So I just want to put this out there. There is a really cool documentary on YouTube, and it might be on one of the DVD that I have, but I don't think I've ever seen it before. It's called Conan Unchained. And I almost finished watching it last night. I'm like 10 minutes away from watching it. It's about 50 minutes long. And it just tells the backstory of the creator of Conan, the production, all the production woes that happened, the different behind the scenes things, like when he was running up on that rock and the dogs really did attack him during one of the bloopers. And then when he bit that buzzard, that vulture, and it was a dead vulture. He really was biting a dead vulture. and in between takes, he was talking about how the medical people would come and make him rinse his mouth out because he could pick up some sort of infection.
So he really did do that stuff.
That was a real vulture. It just was not alive. It had died, and he really was biting its neck. That was not a fake.
Gross.
And that was a real vulture on top of him. Before that was not an animatronic thing.
Yeah,
that was
I thought
real.
it was.
It kind of looked like it was, but he said it wasn't. He said it was real, and then they replaced it with a dead one when he had to bite its neck.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Matt. You keep wanting to say something.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the dog scene they do show at the end of the film.
I heard that. Yeah, we didn't stay to see
stayed
that.
At the very end. It was hilarious because you just see him gunning for the rock.
Yeah, and he couldn't get up.
Right when he's about to get up, the dog grabs his leg, and then all you hear is "God damn it!" And then like a guy is gunning.
He went down.
He
said those dogs in the behind the scenes thing. He said those dogs had actually attacked their handler before, or had tried to, or had bitten him or something. So they were right at his face. He said they were like, it was on top of him and right at his face, and they had to pull the dog. I mean, they could have really hurt him. That was a real thing that really happened. And when he fell, when he fell into the cave in that scene, where he falls down and he discovers that sword and the skeleton. He hurt himself when he fell. He got a cut or something on his chest or something. Anyway, he said he was telling the director, or the director said he was saying, "Look, I am bleeding, I'm bleeding," And the director was like, "Oh, it's something like blood. It's just superficial, but it's going to be forever on film," or something like that. So they kept the blood, like some of the, and Sandahl Bergman, and how her finger was pretty much severed during a fight scene with an extra. It was not a stunt person, and so the extra did something, and she ended up, in the hospital, and they had to either reattach or fix it because it was almost completely off. Yeah.
So I want to get back to the plot.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting carried away with the behind the scenes because it's so exciting. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Here's the thing: the plot. Yeah, it's pretty much him going after what's his name?
Thulsa Doom.
Okay.
Thulsa Doom.
He also brings up the word Crom, which I think about Fire Emblem Awakening when I hear Crom.
Yeah,
but
it's different.
Now, my one thing is that I gotta say this: the film is very horny.
Okay, so here's the thing. The film is not horny, Arturo.
There's a lot of love scenes in this movie.
There's three. There's three. No, the first one, you just see him kind of go on top of the girl, and that's what happens. They don't really show anything. The second one was the witch one. Yeah. And then the third one was with Valeria, the lady who becomes his lover. And so I was talking about this with Tim. I told your uncle what you had said, and he said, but you know what? The reason why those didn't necessarily bother him is because he's a barbarian. He's living this wild and crazy life. His existence is eat, steal, and procreate. That's the main things that that was all there, or eat, live, survive, procreate, or eat, kill, procreate, something like that. Their existence was very simple. And so that was a main part of their existence. So that kind of wove itself into the story. Now she's being really loud, Arturo.
Yeah, Tifa's being loud.
I think maybe Aurelia should go get her.
I was gonna mention this one plot point when it came to the relationship between the girl that he falls in love with. I kind of felt like their relationship felt kind of semi-rushed or rushed. Because they, oh my gosh. Tifa.
Okay, we can't do that with her. I'm going to have to tell Aurelia to come get her.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I felt like their relationship was kind of rushed in some ways. Like they met that night and then they go and have a love scene.
No, I don't think that happened the same night.
Are you sure? Because they didn't really.
Yeah, they time skipped a lot during that segment.
I don't think it was the same night, Arturo. I think they meet up. Then you get the understanding that they've gone on multiple, because there was a lot of narration over that. And I think it allude to the fact, Matt, that they had gone on they've done a bunch of different plundering and stealing and stuff. And,
right. It's been a couple months to maybe a year.
Yeah, they've been with each other for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's funny because I'm kind of comparing anime to this, but you know how people were complaining about SAO's fast relationship? But even though there was a 3-year time skip, I know they don't go into all that detail, but you could assume the reason the relationship happened is because they already knew each other for the past 3 years. So, yeah, okay. I missed that part.
If you understand that now, the thing is, there are cases in real life where people will hook up the very first time they meet. I mean, that does happen. So that wouldn't have even necessarily been that much as a surprise if that's how it had been written, because this is kind of a common occurrence in different movies that you watch.
Well, this is a different time period too. So
it's a different time.
Really
different. Exactly.
I mean, that's just how they did back there. Also, we don't even know how old he is. People age differently back then. Have you heard that 30 was 60 200 years ago?
Yeah, for all we know, he's in his 20s. He was actually in his mid-30s when they filmed it. The relationship never felt rushed to me, and the more I watch the movie, the more her character really does grow on me. I felt like she was a great cast for that role.
Yeah.
And obviously Arnold was the perfect casting. And the movie itself, when the very first time I watched it, I had actually seen Conan the Destroyer first. And then I went and I watched The Barbarian. And for many years, Destroyer was my number one. I wasn't super crazy about Barbarian. But now that I'm more mature, I can appreciate the quality of Barbarian because it is a higher caliber movie as far as storytelling goes and acting and just the cinematography and the score and all of that. It's a gorgeous movie. It's actually very beautiful.
Well, there was some technical stuff when it comes to the film quality. There was some green screen.
Yeah.
There was some of that, but Arturo's those scenes like where he's on the beach and he's rehabilitating himself because he basically died and he came back because the spirits were fought off.
Yeah.
Those scenes were beautiful, and scenes of Thulsa Doom as he's walking out, around that thing, and then the wind is blowing and his cape is billowing. It's just very beautifully shot, and the score is magnificent as well. And Arnold does a pretty decent job for one of his first major film roles. I thought he carried the film very well.
Did you ever see the remake that they did?
I started you talking about the one with Jason Momoa?
Yeah, it's not as good, and it's mostly green screen, and
yeah, I started. Yeah. I never finished.
They cannot recapture that experience from like the original.
And honestly, there's just something very nostalgic about the way that film was made because the practical effects and all of that, and the sets that were built, especially the set up on the mountain, Thulsa Doom's place with the big tall steps, that was huge. That was a very big set.
And then of course the battle in the beach area where they were setting up all those traps and stuff.
I don't know if that was
near the end.
That was
it was near the
area.
end.
Yeah,
when he was talking about Crom.
When he was praying to Crom, and he said he had the dialogue too. Like I was telling my brothers that I really there were some moments in the dialogue that I thought were really well done. Like when he was praying to Crom, and he said he didn't pray to him very, very much, or he didn't pray to him because he has no tongue for it. And then at the end, when he was like, if you don't help me, then to hell with you. And then Valeria, when she was dying, and she said, let me breathe my last breath into your mouth. I mean, those were very, some of the just very simple words put together in to me, it was a very impactful sort of way that they were delivered. Just long moments of just nothing but him staring off into the distance, his face on his hand, just kind of staring off into the distance. And, I don't know, just to me, it was very overwhelming. Some of the scenery and some of the acting and the music. And I love this film so much more than I used to.
And on top of that, you can't have an horror movie without the
Right. I had told you I didn't think there was any of that in there, and I was so terribly wrong.
Yeah, there was so many.
Especially in the beginning. But yeah, so I've seen this movie multiple times, and I felt like the big screen experience really amplified the excellence of it. And it's easily, in my opinion, one of his best movies ever. Now, it definitely doesn't overtake Terminator 2 or The Terminator, but it is on up there. It's definitely in his top 5 films, I think.
Story is. You have Darth Vader in there.
He was such a great cast. And James Earl Jones, I just love him. There is just something so special about that man. And he managed to capture the sinister sort of elements of his character. And he did look kind of snake-like in a way. Yeah. Just because he has a very unusual face.
Actor, but he's also a good actor.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And when I went in watching the movie, I kind of forgot that there was supernatural stuff. I wasn't expecting the supernatural stuff. But yeah, for the quality, I mean, you can tell that 80s vibes there, and of course all the graininess. But that's
not as much as the second movie. Whew,
really?
That's very 80. Don't you think, Matt?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is early '80s, so come on.
Yeah, but I felt like Destroyer was very firmly an '80s film. Like this one didn't necessarily feel like it was an '80s film. This felt like it could have been something, filmed anytime.
And wasn't Destroyer also PG? Didn't they like downgrade it or something?
Yes.
Didn't it come out like
Was it
right before PG-13?
PG or PG-13?
I think it was PG because it came out right before PG-13.
Okay, it came out in '84.
Like it came out right. That would have been before Temple of Doom was
'84. Wait, it came out the same year as Temple of Doom, if that's what you're talking about.
Temple of Doom was what made them think of the PG-13 idea.
Right.
They didn't change it to PG-13. And then after that, we got PG-13. Because try watching an early 80s PG movie.
Yeah, Destroyer is tame compared to Barbarian. And I felt like they went kind of big budget Hollywood blockbustery with Destroyer, whereas Barbarian they felt like they were trying to capture more of an artistic sort of feel.
Which
to the
they
story.
did. I can say some of the cinematics in here were really good.
Oh yeah.
So the battle scenes. So character-wise, I did want to bring up that the girl. At first, I was thinking she was going to get captured, but she held her own at that one scene.
Oh yeah, she was.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, she was a warrior. She was such perfect casting because they said how she is like a Valkyrie, and that was the type of person. That was the like strong female warrior, blonde, because Valkyries are blonde. They don't look like how they look in the MCU. They're like because they're based on Norse mythology. And she was very tall, very statuesque, very athletic because she was a dancer. And she just carried that character so well. Like she had this cat-like grace to her. And it was almost dance-like the way she did her fighting scenes. It was very artistic looking. It was beautiful to watch her do her thing with the sword.
And of course, Arnold has his scenes, and then then there's the other guy, is it the archer?
Subotai.
Yeah. The Asian guy.
Subotai. He's actually Latino. His name
is
is Jerry. He does look Asian.
I mean, Mexicans are just in general Latinos.
I don't know what his ethnicity is as far as which nationality his heritage it comes from, but I think his last name is Lopez. His name is Jerry Lopez, and they go over. They talk about him. They interview him in that documentary, which I highly suggest you guys watch if you haven't. Like whoever who's watching this hasn't seen it.
You have the other Asian guy. He actually was in Samurai Jack as the voice of the main villain, but he was also in a game that I actually played in the Medal of Honor Rising Sun.
Oh, the voice of him?
Yeah.
Didn't he also play in Pearl Harbor?
I am not sure.
I thought he did.
He was the voice in Medal of Honor Rising Sun, and then he was also the main villain in Samurai Jack.
I believe he returns in the second Conan.
I think, I do remember.
He's the only one.
Yeah, this was like he was kind of like the narrator of the film for a while.
Did he also show up in Red Sonja? That was the spin-off Conan movie.
It's not really a Conan movie.
He has Conan in it, and I think Arnold Schwarzenegger said...
He's not Conan.
Oh, I thought that was still Conan.
No, it's not supposed to be Conan. That had been the original idea that it would, but it wasn't him. They changed him.
Oh yeah, didn't he also say he regretted that role?
I believe he did say that. I believe he did, and I remember I watched Red Sonja and I liked it at the time, but I only saw it once. So if I rewatched it now, I would probably think, "Oh my gosh, this sucks so bad."
Enjoyment-wise, well, this was actually my first time watching it. I have never seen this movie really all the way. I can say I'm pretty horny. But
it wasn't all that bad. And you know what? This was probably one of his very few sex scenes, honestly. He didn't really do a lot of this, that sort of thing.
I would say it's pretty decent for Arnold's 80s.
Pretty decent? That's all you have to say? It's
okay, I'll say
decent?
it's good. It's a good Arnold movie. That's my rating.
It's a solid, this movie was 5 years in the works. They approached him about this in 77, and they didn't start filming until like 82, or it came out in 82. And this film really catapulted him into the public eye. That was when I first noticed him, was when they were showing trailers for this movie on my grandma's TV. And I remember thinking, that guy looks really weird. Because he did. He had these things he wore on his head. He had these big, huge muscles. But what really made me think he was weird was he had that gap between his teeth, you know? And he would, like, it was showing him with the sword, and he'd bring the sword down, and he, like, had this crazy look in his eye. Like, man, that guy's really weird looking. But the success of the movie and his ability to carry the movie is really what propelled him forward. Like, we would have no Terminator if we hadn't had Conan.
So we got to give credit to Conan.
Yeah, it's true. And
so, how would you rate it by word?
By word, okay. I was thinking number. Actually, if I had to rate it by number,
I say it's a good Arnold movie for the 80s.
I would say it's one of his best movies. If I had to pin a number on it, I would give it an 8 or an 8.5.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
Well,
how would you rate
it? 8.5. It is a classic. It's really good. I heard a rumor that they're
what?
doing a third one for like next year, where they have like Old Man Arnold. They're doing a third movie.
They have been talking about a King Conan for decades, and it's on IMDb. But I think I would think it would be perfect if they could. I just don't know if it ever will happen.
Well, Arnold's old.
I know, but he could play a King Conan. That was always the idea.
Oh yeah.
Is that he would play a King Conan? It would be about him on
the
throne.
See if I can...
Simon, one of my YouTube buddies, he pulled up a thing, like he showed me the IMDb. You know, I guess he thought it was really going to happen, but that thing has been like, that's been a thing for a long time. It's never moved forward.
It's been there all day.
But
because I remember going in and seeing a photo, and it was like older Arnold, and it said 2023.
It's never been
and
confirmed.
He had like a suit of armor on, and
I would love it. I would love it. I would love it so much. I think it would be such a perfect, if they did it right, obviously, they could wrap his story up, because he would be appropriately older, and I think he could convincingly play the part of a warrior still. He would just be older. He'd probably die in this one, in the third one. But I feel like it would be so magnificent, and I really wish they would do that. The original idea, or the original hope, was that Conan was going to turn into like a James Bond type of franchise, and they would have a new Conan movie like every year or every 2 years. Well, that didn't happen, but you know, I know. As far as this film, some things that I really appreciate about this film that I didn't as much initially was the emotional depth of it. Despite the story, the simplicity of the story, there were moments in here that really touched me, and I don't know if it's my age or what the heck it was, but there was a scene in there. There were a couple scenes in there. No, 3, 4 that really hit me hard. The first one was the scene he and Valeria were making love or whatever. And there's like a moment afterwards, like, and she's looking at him, and she kind of just like pulls back or rears up or something, and just kind of gives him this look. And then she very quickly just holds him. She just pulls him against her like that into a hug. And that scene to me it was such a sucker punch of emotion for me, because it signified she was falling very deeply in love with him, and it scared her because she'd been alone her whole life, pretty much. And that also to me was like a bit of a foreshadowing, I think, telling us that she was going to go. She was going to die. And you knew that she was going to die at some point. Like, there's more foreshadowing when she fights the spirits away, because she kept them from taking Conan. She was trading her life in exchange. So she was going to go. She was a goner for sure. And she even said something. She even made some sort of comment about that I can't remember her exact words, but it was something like she was going to pay this price, you know, to protect him, to try to keep him from being taken. Then another scene that really hit me was when she was dying, and the way she was talking to him, saying that she wanted to breathe her last breath into his mouth. And then another scene that hit me was when she was on the pyre, like where she was going to be burned, her body, and he's like, simple, stupid little things. He's like pulling a strand of hair away from her face. It was just like, oh my gosh, that just killed me. and then when he set her on fire, and he was just standing there watching, and Subutai was crying, and he was saying, I'm crying for Conan, because Conan can't cry. Because Conan can't or won't. I'm crying on behalf of him. Like little moments like that were so touching, and I felt it so much more. It resonated so much more with me on the big screen with the surround sound and the huge picture. It just very, I loved the big screen experience of this movie, and I am so glad we had the opportunity to go see it.
Yeah.
I had no feeling.
You're cold-hearted. You're cold-hearted.
No feeling.
None?
All I thought about
when she died, you didn't care?
Okay, well, I did care, but the fact that it goes back to the whole soul thing, I'm like, oh, well, I guess she knew that was going to happen. And then when she's burning, I just thought about, like how they burned Darth Vader.
Right.
The guy crying for Conan just reminded me of the Full Metal Alchemist scene where Renry was crying for Edward because he wouldn't cry.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe Full Metal took that from Conan.
Maybe, but I was thinking, did Star Wars take that from Conan?
No, because that was a thing they did actually. They would burn
Star Wars
that had died.
What about?
It came before. No, it came after.
Yeah, it came out the next year.
Yeah. But that's not, I don't think anybody stole anything from anybody there, because was a tradition of the way dead people would be disposed of, they would be burned.
Why can't we have movies like this today? Like, see, we had a female, a strong female character in here.
Oh, she was badass. She
absolutely was. In today's time, it's like they can't seem to write a good one.
It's very difficult for them too. That's true.
Except for Japan.
Maybe eventually our writers here in the West will get their act together, but I don't know. I don't know what it will take.
Top Gun Maverick.
But if they don't like it that people have legitimate complaints about the way a lot of strong female leads are written, all they need to do is go back and reference the very effectively written strong female characters from movies in the 80s that a lot of people love because they were so effectively written.
Like what Jennifer Lawrence said, she was the first. Even though you go all the way back to like Alien, Conan,
Terminator, Star Wars. Yeah, we have plenty of very well written women who are strong, but they're not necessarily trying to be a man. Which is the way they're trying to write a lot of females these days.
Like
they're trying to basically write them as a female version. Say what?
I was just saying Nightmare on Elm Street, the main girl, it was the main girl that was dealing.
Halloween.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, yeah, like there was a lot of cool female characters.
Oh, yeah.
I think my favorite female character of all time is still Songo.
Okay. All right. So.
Well. I got nothing else to say about Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Like, now you need to watch the second one, Arturo.
And see how I think about that one.
Yeah.
It's more action-y.
I remember he did something kind of cool with his sword from what you showed me a while back.
The way he was doing like this.
Yeah, he was doing something and
he did that in the first one.
But this one he did literally a flip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But more detailed.
Yeah, he really did have to learn how to fight with a sword. They went through extensive training, horseback riding, fighting, sword fighting. And he even lost some weight to become more athletic looking. The behind the scenes stuff about that movie is really, really interesting and fascinating. Go check it out. I'll just keep saying that. Go check it out, y'all.
Well, you could find Cyn where she laughs, and of course she cried. She got emotional with this movie. Okay,
I
she
didn't
cried.
cry. It just hit me really hard. I almost cried.
Well, you know what's also emotional? Crying.
I don't know. Just
You
Arturo, the older you get, the more sensitive one can become about things like life and death.
I was soulless in the movie.
And emotion.
I was soulless in the movie like Matt.
I got excited. There were some really exciting action scenes.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay, I was going to ask you guys. Go ahead.
And the villain, he gave me some great ideas.
Oh
dear, help us.
I mean, was he really a villain? I mean, he was kind of helping people.
He was a villain.
But he asked that girl to come down.
They were freaking cannibals.
Yeah, and she came down and she committed suicide doing that.
His villain speech at the end to Conan made so much sense. If it weren't for him, Conan wouldn't have become the person he became. His life wouldn't have gone in the direction, so that's how you know a villain is written very well. And his character was. But I was going to ask, what were y'all's favorite scenes?
I like the fighting scene, like when the troops come down and
the very first
the scene where the girl was holding her own when they were escaping the cave.
Oh yeah.
I like him on the beach doing the thing with his sword that you took there when you were taking photos, which you're not supposed to take photos in movies.
I know. But I was
highly illegal. But then again, this movie's already been out for how long now? Okay, I'm trying to think what else was my favorite. Well, I like the beginning when they raided the village.
How did you like the death scene with his mother? I thought that was really interestingly shot.
I knew he was going to do something.
Yeah.
He was hypnotizing her.
Right.
With his eyes or with whatever. He was starting to do that to Conan at the end too. And did you notice? I notice this now every time I watch it, but I was listening to a commentary about that particular scene and the actress who played his mother. And right before he cuts her head off, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he was talking about how he loved this thing that she did in there. And I don't know if she was directed to do it or if she just did it based on what she knew was supposed to happen with the character. But she elongates her neck a little bit, almost like she's offering her neck to him. Yeah, and if you know to look for it, you see it. It's like it's like this. It's almost like this subconscious gesture. She knows it's going to happen, and because she's so enthralled or like hypnotized or entranced by him, she's offering her neck for an easier cut. I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. And the way they showed her falling, and you don't see the blood and gore, you see her leaving his hand. It just I love the way that was shot. It's such a good movie.
We have Avatar.
We're not going to go there, Matt. We're just not.
Well, I mean, you could give it credit for stunning visuals. However, story-wise, it's kind of irrelevant.
Stunning visuals don't make a good movie. In the case of Conan the Barbarian, you have beautiful visuals and you have a solid story, which is what makes it the full, a well-rounded package. And this was great. This was nice doing a review, and look forward to whenever we can do some more.
Yeah, I like having Matt around. It just adds more to the video.
Yeah.
And it gives me something to edit to make it spectacular.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
that's the comedian.
See you guys later.